Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the December 19, 2017 Board of Selectmen meeting. And we'll ask if Diane Moores, our Assistant Town Administrator, can please read the agenda.
Okay, good evening. So tonight the board has to vote to approve or amend the agenda or add topics not reasonably anticipated by the chair 48 hours in advance. We'll start off with a public comment. Sharon McPherson is here to give us a library warrant review. Dan Mattis and Eric Burkett from Whitewater are here to give us an update of the repair of the town well. Zach Spillman, he's a Leland Farms trustee, is going to give us a financial update, and he's also requesting a transfer of funds from the Maintenance Reserve Fund account. Then we have a list of licenses and permits, ABCC renewals, Class 2 auto renewal, Common Vic renewals, and stable license renewals. And then Heritage of Sherborn is requesting to extend their hours for New Year's Eve. We have 3 appointments, 1 to Farm Pond and 2 to the Sherborn Arts Council. And the board has to consider the annual town meeting date, the warrant and budget development, the opening and closing of the town meeting warrant, and the process they want to hold for the budget review of the departments under the Selectmen. Then there's the Selectmen reports, and I have minutes, November 16th and November 28th, and then the board needs to set the next meeting dates for the month of January.
Okay, very good. Anybody have anything to add to that or subtract from that?
I don't think there's any public comment.
Well, I'd like to add to the agenda, happy holidays. And
Okay.
Right.
How many minutes will we need for that? Is that a 15-minute item, Paul? Or? No, I think that's a good addition.
this is our only meeting before the holiday break. Want to wish everybody the best.
Excellent. All right, good. So all in favor of the agenda? Aye, okay, very good. And first, there's no public comments.
No public
So
comment.
first we'll go to Sharon with our financial update on the library project.
Okay, so you have a spreadsheet in front of you. I did attend the construction meeting today, and I asked 2 important questions, which we know that you'll be interested to hear the answers to. Is the project on budget? And as of right now, they said they are on budget.
Okay.
Next week, John Sayers Scabona is going to show me exactly how things are running. So once I get that document, I will share it with you. The other question I asked about was the burn rate, and I asked that the last time I was at their meeting as well. Robert Malone from 5 Star has promised to get me something by the end of the week. So again, once I get that, I will share it with you. And then the most exciting news I have for you is tonight at the Library Trustees meeting, they are voting to present another gift of $918,808 for the library construction fund, which will, first of all, help with cash flow immediately. And it's just great, and it will be coming very soon.
That's 908,000, you said?
918,000. I think it's on your spreadsheet. I said
That's
incremental
great.
gift there. Is it on your spreadsheet?
So is that in addition to the money that was accounted for
Yes,
prior
it
to the
is.
construction?
Yes, it
Yeah,
is.
that's the question I was going to
Yeah,
ask.
that's an
So I
additional.
think, what did they originally have? 2.8?
Originally, we had 2,000,008,
It's right there.
2,845,000. So,
That's the top line.
yeah. So Jim Murphy, he and I have been talking because I told him about the concern about is the project on budget? What's the burn rate? We're going to have to eventually borrow money and go, have a bond issue, and we're thinking about doing that more like March. Don't want to do it sooner than that. And in the pipeline, if you just look down below, we only have about 15,000 on the next warrant. So
Okay.
right now, everything's going smooth, and as soon as I get that information, I will share it with everyone.
Well, that's good news. Very good, thanks. Anything else?
That's it.
No? Okay, good. And I understand from your email today, you have your first budget submittal, so that's good.
Yes. Karen
Council on
Jewell.
Aging wins the
They win
year.
the prize, that's
Perfect.
right.
All right, great. All right, next we have Zach Spillman, our Leland Farms trustee. Zach, thank you for coming in.
Are you sure the selectmen's budget didn't beat the council on aging budget?
What about the Whitewater thing?
Oh, I'm sorry, Zach. Well, you said you're going to be 5 minutes, so I'm sorry about that, guys. I skipped your item. All
They're
right.
going to be a lot more than 5.
Yeah, they're going to be more than 5 minutes, so if you want to
Can
do...
you check the volume in here? There's nothing coming out of any of these mics.
that better? Perfect.
Yeah, it's better.
Thank you.
Oh, great,
You
thanks.
could hear it, but we couldn't. That's
There we
great. Okay.
Gentlemen, good evening. So that we're all on the same page, Leland Farms is a mixed-income condominium community, 10 affordable housing units, 7 market rate units. We have a 5-member board of trustees, 2 elected by the affordable housing owners, 2 elected by the market rate owners, 1 appointed by you. That's me. I was appointed in the summer of 2016. Since then, I've developed a favorable opinion of the board's operations. I think that that the business of the board is going pretty well, and I'm happy to report to you that the Leland Farms community is fiscally stable. But over the past year, there have been some pretty extraordinary expenses that were a little unexpected. In advance of tonight's meeting, we forwarded itemized expenses totaling $11,229.44. That included replacement of a well pressure tank, repair of a catch basin, and seal coating and striping of the parking lot. Those are significant categories of expenses because we maintain 2 reserve accounts. One's an internal reserve account and one is a town reserve account. The town reserve is required by the special permit that was granted by the planning board to develop the community in 1996. It's funded by annual deposits that are indexed to inflation. For the current year, those deposits will be approximately $5,700 per year. The town reserve has a balance right now of $6,996.82. That's the report I have dated today here. Thank you for that. That reserve is, and I quote from the special permit, dedicated to the repair and replacement of the septic system, well, and road. And so over the past year, we significantly exceeded that amount in repairs to the septic system, well, and road. In addition, and as far as I'm aware, not previously brought to your attention, is $6,950 in septic system repairs that were completed in October of 2016. Leland Farms has an impressively complex septic system, and it took a little extra work about a year ago. We also have, as our water supply, the well is a state-regulated public water supply, and we encountered sort of a hard-to-figure-out high copper reading about a year ago. The cost of investigating that and tracing it back to what they did help us find that. We believe that it was the product of improper sample collection by a resident, collecting warm water instead of cold water. Nevertheless, studying that, remediating that, incurred some pretty significant additional water expenses. In 2017, Leland Farms spent in excess of $17,000 on water alone. And so it's my opinion as the town trustee that all of this warrants releasing the town reserve that you have now so that we can allocate that to offset some of those expenses that we incurred. We will, of course, continue to fund that reserve. We will also continue to fund the internal reserve. And then I can tell you that for 2018, we're planning a number of projects, including building repair and painting, some landscaping work, and, of course, reserve funding. I can answer any questions you have.
Sure, yeah, a couple things. One is that all this work was done by outside vendors, right?
Correct.
Okay. So there's no question of any kind of a transfer from one account to another internally to the town? Okay. And second is if all the funds in this reserve are released, what happens if there's an emergency or some exigency circumstance?
So we maintain an internal reserve that we fund every year. Our plan for 2018 is, I just had it and I lost it, is to put aside total reserves, including the $5,700 in the town reserve, of $10,875. That's the number we're looking at right now. We haven't finalized the budget yet. So we have that reserve to cover emergency expenses. It's just really, at this point, and I've only been there about a year and a half, so I can't speak to what was going on before then, but at this point, cash flow isn't such that we can have both of those reserves going at once. And so we'd rather have our internal reserve for any emergency, because it's not limited to those three categories, and use the town reserve when those three categories occur.
And then the town reserve will be rebuilt over the next year?
It will. We pay monthly. I don't have the
Okay, well,
monthly number, but we send in a check every month.
Okay, that's fine. Anybody else, questions?
Just a comment that I was part of the group that built this thing back in the beginning. And it was quite an adventure to get to where we are today. Thank you for stepping forward to be a trustee. That was not an easy position to fill. And I'm 100% in favor of your proposal. That's what these funds are here for. So I would move to, well, I had one clarifying question. I understood you wanted 6,000, and then based on what you said, it sounded like you wanted the 6,900. What was it, what amount are you looking for?
So I was hoping for 7,000. I see we're not quite there yet. I thought we had more than 7. Call it 6,500.
So I move to release 6,500 for the purposes stated.
Have a second on that?
I'll second that.
All right, second. Any further discussion?
Well, I'd point out that if Paul would donate $3.18, you could have the 7,000. But
I'll donate,
apparently, there's a limit to his generosity, so.
I'll donate 18 cents.
There you go.
Okay, so we've got a motion second. All in favor of the release? Great. Hey, thanks, Zach.
Thank you.
This is really great, very clear, and it looks like things are turning around, which is fantastic.
I hope so. I can pick that up downstairs.
Yeah, sure.
Do you want in cash or,
It's one of those big cardboard checks, you know?
Gentlemen, thank you.
The monthly payment, by the way, is $475 a month,
Yeah. Okay,
and timely.
that's great, thanks. You guys are up next. Whitewater is going to give us hopefully a closeout report, I think, on the town well problems.
could I say, for the interest of time, that there was very comprehensive records that we've reviewed and read, your chronology, all of that, so I don't think you need to go through what is a half an inch of papers for tonight's presentation. Hopefully, you can assume that we are familiar with the project and we're familiar with the paperwork.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I think you can give a brief overview to get us to whatever it is you're going to talk to us tonight, though. I'm not sure everybody's going to, in the audience is going to remember everything.
So just a quick recap, Dan Mattis, Whitewater. I'm Eric. As you're all aware, we had an issue starting back in July. We started some bacteria hits. I'm just briefly touch on that from the chronology that you have. One thing led to another. DEP got involved. There were some issues with the well that were very lengthy to correct based on DEP's enforcement actions, and they required steps to correct that. So coming full circle, the well has been repaired. We learned a lot about the well, about the production of the well, some of the infrastructure of the well, which is excellent knowledge that was unavailable before. So if there is a silver lining, we learned a little bit about the well that you have. Since the closure of the project in early October, all the bacteria samples have been clean, and hopefully they continue to remain clean. So we're kind of at this point now where we have an open hole in the yard, and we're kind of working towards the next step, which is the installation of the generator that's also going to power the water system. We're looking at relocating some water lines depending on how the project progresses, if that's available for funding. We're also talking about possibly abandoning the pit outside, if that is something the town would want to look forward to doing. Basically simplifying the water system and getting rid of some old unused infrastructure. There's been a lot of questions from DEP as to how lines run in and out of the ground. We have a very good idea of where they are now, but there's still a lot of unused plumbing and existing plumbing that should probably be removed at some point. And this would be the opportunity to do that.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure, Paul.
There was this cease and desist order from DEP that related to work being done within the radius of the well, in addition to the coliform readings.
Yes.
Has that order been lifted?
To my knowledge, it has not been lifted. DEP, anything within the Zone 1, they want to be a part of. So I know this project, we kind of looked at some maps earlier today, and a lot of the work is occurring outside of that zone. However, in the interest of the town, it'd probably be good to keep DEP informed of everything that's going on the property regarding the water system.
Let me
Yeah, if you
jump
could.
in with the rest of that answer. The remaining work basically goes right through the 100-foot zone of the well. And the generator resides within the 100-foot zone. The corner of the building actually does. So they're not going to lift that cease and desist until, basically, they're going to sign off on our proposed method of what we're going to implement.
But they haven't.
They have not, because it's not fully designed yet. So
Who's designing it?
the library design team. So there's a 20,000 gallon water tank that is for the fire suppression of the library. And the plans right now are showing, instead of putting it right next to the well where they were gonna put it, they're gonna put it under the parking lot adjacent to town hall. Basically right at the property line, what was the property line to Costic Road. It's a little complicated, but there's access issues there, because once the tank goes there, you have to prove that you can get a fire truck to it unrestricted, and you have a wider lane width that you have to have. So there's some engineering that needs to be done just for the parking lot layout to show, although we're working on a building up there, we're doing site work next to this building. There's a lot of site work that's gonna be done out here, and the DEP wants to be assured that it's not gonna have detrimental impact to the well, which it already did.
Isn't that going to be inhibiting where everything you need to run to DEP, and DEP seems to not respond very quickly because
Well,
they haven't responded to
They've
approval?
responded so far to me, but their response isn't complete because we don't have complete drawings. Basically, I've been able to be the point of contact and try to get an opinion, but you're not gonna get an opinion out of DEP. They wanna sign off on a finished set of plans and approve it. So tomorrow, there's supposed to be a set of plans that come through that show at least the generator, all the wiring, all the plumbing, all the conduits that are currently under part of the parking lot, but obviously don't. They head towards the well, then they don't head away from it. They will. That plan, I sent a preliminary set to them today. Tomorrow, the final set should come through, and at this point, I'm handing it basically over to Whitewater because they need to develop our response to DEP. It's not gonna come from me, it's gonna come from them.
Yeah, the new proposed plans present a unique opportunity, because one of the bones of contention with DEP has been, we've never been able to identify the way the water lines run in and out of the bunker. So if the proposed plans are showing the new conduit bank running right through that area, so it might be an opportunity where, as part of the project, we can eliminate all those lines and put in dedicated lines and pretty much abandon the bunker with the exception of the pump starter motor boxes in there. And there's, I think, an electrical breaker panel. You know, we can leave that there, but we can basically abandon all the piping inside the bunker. The other option too is, as far as the questions with the generator, if we can somehow tie that generator into the water system, that becomes, you know, an asset to the water system where if you lose power, you're still gonna have water. So sometimes that'll give you some more flexibility with DEP approving plans with the generator within the Zone 1.
Which it will carry the water system, because it's gonna carry this entire building.
Okay, so that's great.
Well, just sort of a peripheral issue is that when I arrived here today, I parked my car in an angled parking space so that the pavement has been laid down and there was stripes, and it was quite nice to see.
And those are temporary stripes. That was just to get us through the winter without having people guess at where they're supposed to park. the curbing's not done. That's just what they call the binder, the undercourse of the parking lot.
Still, it was progress, visible progress.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was nice. Okay, anybody else have questions for these guys? So continue, I guess.
So I guess one of the biggest concerns that we have is when these lines are run, how is that going to impact your existing water lines? The last thing we want is an emergency where we have a line broken and DEP issues a boil order notice or something like that. So, as this unrolls, we'd like to be involved intimately as this happens to make sure that a lot of the lines, exact locations aren't known. There are certain ways to remove earth that are less destructive than others, so we would certainly want to be involved as that happens.
So what do we need to approve tonight?
Yeah, we're
This
not,
is an update.
we're not asking for any approvals.
Yeah, we asked these guys to come in and just update us. They've concluded a stage in the project, and thank you for doing that and coming in. I guess, one question would be, you just alluded to it, there's ways to move dirt, but are there any issues with putting a generator, a heavy generator, which is gonna create vibration, in proximity to the well and the piping? Is that a concern, or is that something that's common?
It's fairly common. You see generators within the zone 1. How the vibrations impacted, I couldn't answer that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, we don't want to turn the thing on and have the well collapse, right? I mean, that's.
No, we do worse things to that well.
Yeah, okay.
So I guess
Driving by it.
Well, that's what I'm wondering,
Well, none of this activity would be allowed.
Yeah, okay. If we were starting.
If
over,
we were
right?
starting a new well, they'd probably protect 250 feet, would they not?
this wellhead, the protection area is 404 feet for this
Right.
specific well. But I guess if we're going to make any decisions tonight, we have to present something to DEP. So once we get the finalized plans, we can present that to DEP. We can inform them that the generator is going to be part of the water system, and it might be a good gesture to say, since we're digging right by the lines, why don't we correct the issue? Because we're going to have the ground opened anyways.
Right,
The
so,
issue being the redirected
Yeah.
pipes is,
Right.
okay,
so everyone understands, the bunker that's out there
yeah.
had probably a 2,000 gallon tank, I don't know
Yeah.
how big it is. There's an underground tank out there. We abandoned it decades ago. But what they did, I think when they remodeled this, they ran a new well line from the well into this building. The water gets treated through the UV, and then
It goes back
this
to the
building
bunker.
gets fed from here, but it goes back out to the bunker, because that's where the lines were originally feeding the town hall, the library and the community center.
What about the police station?
Well, it didn't exist then, but they teed off or stuffed another line in there.
Okay.
But even with the site survey we did a year ago, which was pretty extensive, they couldn't pin the line all the way, because they're PVC, so they didn't put chasers in with them, I guess. So we know the general area, but we can't find it. They're gonna find it when we excavate, because they're probably at 5 feet below the grade, and the duck bank that is gonna be put in needs to be at least 4 to 5 or 6 feet.
But if you're gonna straighten out the piece of it that runs the stuff into the building and out, and these guys have indicated in their write-up that we could abandon the ultraviolet treatment, but not right away, so isn't that gonna create a problem, timing problem, logistics problem in terms of when you can abandon those lines? If you still have to run it into the treatment system for another year?
Treatment system's here where it belongs.
Well, that's what I'm saying, but you were saying you shouldn't be running water out of that well into this building before it goes out to the library, right?
No, you should do that.
You can do that, okay.
But then we need to distribute it without going back into the bunker.
It's just the bunker.
It should
you're
never
trying-
go to the bunker.
Okay, that's what you're trying to avoid.
Right.
It goes in and turns around and comes back out.
Got it, okay.
So even if you did eliminate the UV system, the pressure tanks are in the basement of this building, so the water comes in and the whole system's pressurized by the 2 tanks in the basement.
Okay, good.
And then we just need better distribution. There's valves out under the parking lot, we don't know where they are. So they could blow tonight and we lose the whole thing.
Okay.
And we're out there digging, looking for stuff that we don't even know where it is. So it's an opportunity to fix something that could and probably will potentially fail someday.
Yeah, okay. Great. Anybody else with questions? All right, thank you. Thanks very much for
All right,
coming in.
Thank you.
Hey, Rick, do you know the video's out?
It's the only time I get to be on television.
Special town meeting.
Well, while we're talking about the video, I just want to thank both of you for all the work you've done on fixing this well. When I read all the reports and all the things that had to be done, and you had to go back and up and down that borehole and all that stuff, very impressive, the amount of work that went into that, fixing this thing. My hat's off to you. Thank you for the help that you've given to the town of Sherborn solving this.
We actually put a cot downstairs for Dan so he could just stay. Keep checking the level on the water tank.
Dan actually gets all the credit for this one.
The wife's not doing no.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks for your patience. It was a long process, but the end result turned out, I think, very good for what we had dealt. So.
The ultimate test would be for us to give you a glass of water and see if you drink it.
I'd be happy to.
Well, it's not hot.
Yeah, no.
All right. All right, thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks,
All
guys.
right, great. Now we've got some permits, and since Chris is here, maybe we should do the stable permits first. That's the one you're involved with, right?
Yeah, and the common vics and liquor licenses.
Oh, you are on those too? Okay.
Yeah, and then I think we should do the Sherborn Wine and Spirits, since,
What's that one?
They're requesting late hours.
Oh, yeah, but let's get through the licenses first.
no, this is the,
I gotta catch Dan 1 second.
Yep, sure. All right, so we've got a package full of these things. We've got the ABCC license renewals. Everything's in order, Jeannie, right, on this stuff? We've got some auto dealer renewals, right? Class 2, yeah, I only had one question on one of those, which was, one of these licenses is in the name of Ron DeVincent, and the application's in the name of Brighty DeVincent, is that? So the, not the new license, the old license, right? So we've got a message here from you to Dave Bento, or if you look at that, Jeannie, right here. So you've got the two licenses in the name of
Right,
Ron
it
DeVincent
was-
and Jason, and it looks like it's Brighty and
It's Bridie.
Jason? Okay.
It's Bridie.
So-
Bridie is Ron's wife.
So is Brighty the current licensee who's
Yeah.
renewing it?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Well, I had a question on those too. State law says that they have to have a place to repair vehicles if they're buying
They
it,
do.
and they're
he was
not
supposed-
listed.
He was supposed to get it to me today. Unfortunately, I was not at work today. So I didn't get a chance to remind him. It is Framingham. Can he get the things done in Framingham?
But there's three licenses. We're dealing
One of
with.
them is Ed Rose, and we
One
know
of
where
them
he
is Ed
repairs
Rose.
cars.
Okay.
And the other two, get them done at, I think it's Framingham Auto Works. But if you want to sign the license, and I will hold it till I get that. you can.
Okay,
Yeah.
so can I make that motion?
Okay. So
On
this is
the
just on the
Class 2.
On the Class 2s?
To renew the Class 2s, subject to them complying with the general laws and designating a general repair place to
Right,
the Selectmen's office by,
by the end of next week.
and that's applicable only to Sherborn Auto Brokers and Sherborn Auto Sales,
Yes, not Rose.
not Rose's is complete. Okay.
All right, so all in favor? Okay, great.
what happened to Sean?
He had to run out and consult with Whitewater on something. I think he'll be back, Paul, he just misses out on getting to vote the Class 2 auto licenses.
No, I didn't know whether he recused himself.
No, he didn't recuse. All right, so that's one class of license here. All right, we've got the We've got the ABCC licenses. We've got 3 of those, I think. We've got Sherborn Inn. We've got 4 of them. Sherborn Inn, Sherborn Wine and Spirits. We've got, which is the other one? Heritage
Heritage, provisions,
and Provisions, right. And,
And you got the
okay, and then,
Citgo.
and then we've got
this.
this, what's it called? Sherborn Fuel. Okay, all right, so everything's
Move
in
to,
order? It looks like it's in order.
the only one that's pending anything is Heritage, which we're waiting for a positive generator test report, because that operates the sprinkler system. But Rick Aston and I are both relatively comfortable that it does work. We just need to get a confirmation from their service company that it's been tested properly. So we're okay with them getting their license. We're going to follow up with them within the next 30 days to make sure the generator actually functions properly.
so move approval of renewal of those 4 licenses.
Second?
Okay, do we want to put in a condition on the Heritage that by the end of January, they have a,
If you're gonna
positive
change an alcohol license, you have to have a hearing.
I don't think we're changing the license, we're conditioning our vote. I mean, they haven't completed all the work that needs to be done? I think that's what I just heard, which means they haven't proven their sprinkler system works.
I am gonna take the building inspector's word for it, and life is hard enough for doing business in the community. They believe that things are in order. If they're not in order, then we should take action.
I don't know, it seems to me if I ran a business, I'd want to make sure that everything was in order before I had to renew my license. It's not a surprise. They know what the requirements are to get a license, to get a sign-off.
So, well, my motion is to approve. So that'll either pass or it won't. That depends on you.
Terrific. So we need to negotiate now. I'm happy. Can we approve it conditioned upon obtaining it within 30 days? You're saying?
That was my suggestion.
Yeah. You think that we'd have to have a new hearing?
We got to submit this to the ABCC on time. The schedules, the law says it's almost an automatic renewal unless you have a hearing to not renew it. So you either renewed it or you haven't renewed it.
If we don't get the required paperwork by the end of January, can we withdraw the approval?
Not without, you have to have a public hearing.
We'd have to have another hearing.
Yes, it's a complicated process. It's not one that I want to put these people through.
Yeah.
Not on the assurance that the experts think it's okay.
We're fairly confident that the generator does work. We just, again, it's
I
paperwork
mean,
we're
so,
missing.
yeah, except,
They had the sprinkler company out today
Yeah.
to test the system. System does perform properly, and they did run it off the generator, but there's a log that they have to get from the company that services the generator that we're waiting.
all right, so you've seen the sprinklers working off the generator, or somebody has reported it to you?
Rick asked him.
Rick saw it?
Yeah,
Rick saw it,
so
okay.
I'm comfortable, he was comfortable with them having a period of time to get us that paperwork.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I guess I would just say, Jeannie, in the future, maybe we should be contacting them earlier and reminding them that they've got a lot of things they need to get done, right? I mean, you talked to them about them in November,
Yeah,
I think,
We
right?
did this, October
October?
28th was when we did the inspection, and we gave them a written write-up within a week, so they've known.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a lot of sympathy. I know it's hard to have a business, but you've got rules, and when you're talking about a sprinkler for a place that is open to the public, Paul, that's pretty serious stuff. If you've got to have a test done in order to get your license renewed, you should know that and get your test done. This is not bureaucracy. It really is something that's important to public health and safety. I'm comfortable because our building inspector says that there was a test today, but even so, today is very last minute. I'm not impressed with how attentive this business is being to its licenses.
Well, my response to that would be that this is apples and oranges. We're talking about, do they have a license to sell alcohol? And you're talking about building and fire issues with regard to the building.
All of which are supposed to be signed off on before we renew our license.
They're not directly related to the license. They're separate enforcement. It means they don't have to be enforced through the license.
All right, well, you got a motion on the table, so,
I second the motion.
okay.
Well,
Yes,
I don't have to give them their license until they do this generator test. I can hold it.
well, that was my suggestion, but Paul didn't like that suggestion, because it's too hard to do business in Sherborn.
Approve it, and I can hold it, and hopefully by the end of next week, they'll have it done, and by the 31st, they'll get their new license.
The problem is, just speaking as a lawyer, you can't withhold the license. It's illegal.
Not-
It would
They
be-
have a license through December 31st.
It would be illegal for you to withhold the license. If they did nothing, it would be illegal for you to withhold the license. You cannot withhold the license. So it's a good thing to say to motivate people, but there are much stronger enforcement mechanisms the fire department has and the building inspector has, and to enforce things like sprinkler systems and other than trying to play around with the license. That's heavily regulated by state law. There's a lot of law here that I could talk for hours, but it's just not that's
so they're
not
gonna get
the,
a cease and desist on the first of the year if they don't get their generator
basically.
tested. By the guy sitting there.
But they don't get an appeal to the ABCC, which then is going to send it back to us because we haven't complied with the law, and then we have to have a lawyer. We have to spend money on legal fees and all that kind of stuff. You don't fool around with liquor licenses.
great, you don't fool around with people's safety either, so I'm a no vote on this one, you guys can vote it out. I'm in
If
favor of all the
if
other
it
ones.
helps at all,
Yep.
there is an inspection, certificate of inspection that I do have to issue for this building, which will not be issued until the generator test report comes back in. That is something that is a serious piece of paper they need to have. If they don't have it, we can tell them that they cannot operate.
Well,
So
the-
regardless of the status of their license, they can have the
Right.
license all day long. And if they don't have a certificate of inspection in place for the building, they can be told that they have to empty the building out. So I mean, there is provisions in place that,
No, I get it, and they're gonna get their license because they're gonna get a vote,
Yep.
but I wanna make the point that this is not something that you come in at the last minute and do your stuff on the day the license is due. If you want a license, we wanna know that all the requirements are complied with, and everybody else seemed to be able to do it, so.
We've got
They
three
should be able to
applicants-
do it.
We've got 3 applicants here and 2 fully complied, so.
Yeah, I agree with your point.
Okay.
That's
All right,
well made.
so we've got a vote on, I guess let's vote the other 3 if we can. Right, so the Sherborn Fuel, the
Sherborn Wine and Spirits.
Sherborn Wine and Spirits.
And what's the third one?
provisions.
Provisions, so all in favor on those? Okay, and now on Heritage, all in favor? Opposed? Okay. Great, thanks. And now we got stable licenses?
Right, this is the one I was very confused about because there's these little boxes at the bottom, and like the first one had all 4 signed, and the second one had only 1 signature.
Because of the time that you got your packets, we didn't get the final confirmation from Chris, Rick, and John. And we now have them, if you look at the license, the actual license forms that go with the licenses you have to sign, they should all be filled in except for, I believe, 2. One is 113 Western, or 34 Great Rock Road, and 42 Washington. And there's 42 Washington, the horses, there was some issues that the owner was notified of. The horses are now in Florida. She's gonna have them fixed while the horses are gone for the winter. 113 Western is fire extinguishers, and he's having his, recertified.
Yeah, I actually think he ordered new ones, but they haven't been delivered yet. I spoke to all the people that were missing them for all 3 properties yesterday. Everything was a relatively minor issue. You know, electrical cover plates missing in a couple of locations at 42 Washington Street, no horses in the barns. Similar things over at 34 Great Rock Road, just, stuff that needed to be serviced but was not a life safety issue. And then 113 Western Ave was the one where they needed to have fire extinguishers recertified, and he has them on order. He sent me a copy of the order form. They just have not arrived yet. So in general, I'm comfortable with those stable licenses being issued, and that all these things will be resolved within a matter of a few days to a week.
So can I divide the question and move approval of all the licenses, save those three? And I'm going to do a second motion on those three. But on all the other licenses, there are no issues.
There were no issues, or if they did have issues, they were re-inspected and have solved all their problems.
There were a number of them listed for 111 Coolidge. Those have all been resolved?
Correct, yep.
So I move approval of all the licenses except for the three that you identified.
And those three were 113 Western, 42 Washington, and what was the third one?
34 Great Rock.
Thank you.
Jeannie, on this, sort of your checklist thing here, I don't see 70 Bullard, is that, oh, I'm missing it, sorry, I've seen it now. Okay. Yeah, so that's there, and that's all checked off too, okay. All right, good. All right, so it's been moved, it's been seconded, all in favor on those licenses, very good. All right, now on the other three?
On the other three, I would move approval of the other three, but the licenses in this case can be held until the work is done. And then when the work is done to the satisfaction of whoever it was that didn't sign the particular thing, maybe the building inspector, then you can give them the license, and then the horses can be brought back from Florida or wherever they are. So that's my motion.
I'll second that. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor of that? Aye, all right, good. Good solution. Is that it? Do we have any?
All right.
Oh, we got the victulars licenses. We want to get to those.
I don't think there was any issues on those, so I move approval of all of them.
You want to just read which ones they are, Paul, so everybody knows?
I'm signing this stuff. I don't have them. And somebody, who's the clerk?
He's the one flipping through the compilation sheet. Where is that?
These are the three
There we
that
go.
we're holding aside.
Okay, it's Sherborn Donuts, DBA, Dunkin' Donuts, Hagatini Inc., DBA, C&L Frosties, Natasha Vesovsky, DBA Rustic Pizza.
That's it, right? Oh, no,
No,
Heritage.
and then the Heritage is Million B,
Million B, that's what it is.
Heritage of Sherborn Fine Wine and Spirits, and Provisions, excuse me.
Okay.
So I move approval.
This Dunkin's doesn't have fee paid checked off.
I have not gotten their fee yet, so,
No, then we're not approving it, just as far as I'm concerned.
unless it came today, he said he mailed it.
Well, can I divide the question and
Said it was in the
approve
mail.
three?
Still, he said he put it in the mail today.
Second?
Yeah. He called today, I spoke to him today, he said he put it in the mail today.
So on that one, I'm going to say just hold the license until the checks
It should be hit
arrive.
him off, he put it in the mail today,
Should be. I've heard the check is in the mail.
before.
You would have thought
Check
they
I'm
handed
still
it in,
waiting
right?
for from
It's the
10 years
same
ago.
thing. Except I think that this business is not based in Sherborn, it's based in wherever it's
So-
based, you know, Guilford or someplace.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we
Braintree.
approve three.
Yep, okay, so that would be Rustic Pizza, Fine Wine and Provisions and Heritage, and C&L Frosty.
CL, right?
All right.
So moved.
So we got a second, moves from second, all in favor? Aye, okay, we gotta have places to eat.
And then on the Dunkin' Donuts one, I'd move approval to be held until the check Clears.
Okay.
Couldn't they have paid online? No?
No credit card.
Sorry. Bad other times.
Okay.
Is that the end of the licenses, I think, for me?
That's it. Yeah, thanks, Chris. Thanks for
Thank you, guys.
staying.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Happy holidays. Okay. So Paul's moved on the donut one. Do we vote that one yet? No. We didn't
No,
vote
we
it.
haven't.
Anybody second the donut?
Second.
Okay, all in favor of approving the donut license? All right, subject to that being withheld until the fee clears.
I don't want to be the one responsible for keeping Dunkin' Donuts closed on New Year's Day. I don't. Well, Heritage will close at midnight.
Especially if Gronk scores a touchdown, do they have some promo that?
Get over to Dover, there's another one.
Is there any more licenses?
No, that's it for licenses. The fun is over.
Somewhere there's a approval.
Of,
There's a request for extension of hours.
yeah, that's the next thing, that's the next thing. Here's the stable license folder. Yes, so,
One
What?
more stack call.
here we go.
I move approval of the
Yeah, let's explain what it is first, Don. I'm
extension
trying
of hours so that people can enjoy the holiday.
Back in the regular packet, right?
And these are routinely granted in most communities around the state.
Is that it? Yeah, I'm just not finding it. Okay, 1 AM, which I think we did other years. We've done this.
Yeah, yeah.
Every year, yep.
It's gonna be an hour into the new year. They're gonna need that new license. Okay.
More to sign, Chuck.
Did somebody move this and second
I did.
this? Anybody second this?
I move to,
I'll second it, and
All
then
right.
I'd like to make a comment.
Make a comment. Any discussion?
Can we amend it to just make that an annual approval?
no,
No,
has to be done.
I
you
think
have to
we,
approve it every year?
yeah, I think we've
If they ask every year,
we
I'm-
tried this before and,
Did we?
Yeah.
and we've been advised we can't do it.
The liquor licenses are very closely regulated by the
Okay.
Alcoholic Beverage Control Commission. You can only do what they allow you to do, and only do it when they tell you you can do it. Unlike virtually
What's the
any,
close time on their liquor license? I think it's one.
12.
No, it's not one. I don't think it's one at all. It's a midnight. Well, we have a copy of it here.
Yeah, we just signed it.
Why they're asking for the extension of,
What's that?
why they asked for the extension of hours. They only want it for one night.
It's the very last, it's the 2A.
Yes, but the question is, what does the license provide? The suggestion is, maybe they already have the right to stay
The
open
the
till 1
license is
o'clock.
8 to 11.
Oh.
Okay.
So we're giving them
So I don't know what
2
you've
hours.
been doing there after 11, Sean. It's okay. 8 to 11, and you can stay till 1 on, oh, no, I'm sorry, it's not 8 to 11. It's 8 to 11 Monday through Thursday, but it's 8 to midnight on Friday and Saturday. There you go. 11 to 11. Yeah. So they need the 2 extra hours for 1 o'clock.
Sean, do you want to make a condition on them staying open till 1 every day of the year?
No. You want to make a condition on next year? All right, all in favor of this one? Great. We're falling apart earlier than usual. It's only 7:30. All right, so that's good. Now we've got some appointments to different committees.
We're falling apart because there was all this talk of donuts.
I'm concerned about donuts. We've got 3 appointments. I'm trying to find the,
Here, right here.
First one is for,
this massive paper.
You gotta go back into this.
Yep, okay, that's my problem.
I can read it for you.
Switching back and forth quick enough. Here we go.
I move that we appoint Jackie Martin for a term to expire June 15, 2019 for the Farm Pond Committee, and that we appoint Kim Me Olson Olin to the Sherborn Arts Council for a term to expire June 15, 2019, and Leanne Nguyen to the Sherborn Art Council for a term to expire June 15, 2019.
Jeannie, what does the Sherborn Art Council do? Do you know? What's our,
They, it's regulated by the state. They have funding from the state that they, actually give away to groups when they apply for a grant. It's a grant program. And they get, I think, I wanna say like $3,500 a year from the state for it.
and
So-
they use it to fund local projects or
Well,
things?
something in Pine Hill, like a storyteller, something, yes.
Okay.
I believe George Fisk has asked for something for the Historical Society at times, so that's what they do.
Great, good to know. I just was not really familiar with what they do. All right, so Paul's made a motion. Somebody second that?
Second.
Sean's seconded. All in favor? All right, great, and thanks to all these people for being willing to serve on a town board. We need all the help we can get, and this is great that people are stepping forward. Okay. Consideration of annual town meeting warrant date. I don't think we set a date, but you've reserved,
But
Linquist
April
for
24th and
April
April
24th.
26th has been reserved at Linquist Commons, yes.
that's kind of the traditional return from
Yes, the calendar is
return from
wrong.
Hold
vacation.
on. What did you just say?
April 20, wait a second.
You showed 24th and 26th, but you
Says the-
typed 14th.
Well, that's a typo on my part. It's the
Definitely
24th and 26th.
And this is the wrong calendar, because this is 2017.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
Tuesday.
it's 18, right.
So it's
Tuesday and
Tuesday and
Thursday.
Thursday.
Tuesday and Thursday,
Like we've done.
right.
That's why I was questioning the 14th. I
Yeah.
didn't notice the year, and I was thinking, we're not doing it on a Monday.
Yeah, so I move that we establish town meeting like we have for the last many years, of the last Tuesday and the last Thursday in the month of April being the 25th, being the 24th and 26th.
Second?
Okay, moved and seconded. All in favor? All right, good. So we have a town meeting date. And now we have to set some dates, or do we already set the dates? We didn't really set the open and closing
We were gonna
warrant
open it
dates, did
tonight,
we?
weren't we?
Open it tonight, and we're hoping that you'll close it on the 5th of January.
Okay.
Yes, but the way this guidance letter is written is
Where is it? I can't find it on the computer.
is not consistent with the concept of closing a warrant. When you close a warrant, you close a warrant. This doesn't close the warrant, it allows people to submit warrant articles all the way to the end of January. And I don't think that's consistent with Chapter 39, Section 10 of the general laws. If you close the
I don't think
warrant,
it says that.
Paul,
No.
I'm reading that differently. I'm
It's
reading it,
differently,
it just means
right.
they need to appear in front of us.
By the 30th of January. They need to come before you by the 30th of January.
no, but it still allows them to submit the actual warrant article all the way up to the 30th.
Where does it say that?
If you read this carefully.
You must be reading in between the lines. Paul.
January 5 is a deadline for article proponents to file a notice of intent.
Yeah.
That's not what closing a warrant means. Closing a warrant means you submitted the article by that date. So anybody can take a napkin and write down, I intend to
That's the notice of intent, yeah.
abolish the town of Sherborn and make us a subsidiary of Framingham's. They can write that down and throw it in the hopper. That's not an article.
Okay.
And so it come before us, and I've seen you in looking at other warrant articles, you'd say, well, what is the language? Don't we want to see the language? That allows people to submit to January 30th what the actual article is.
That's true.
And that's not what opening and closing a warrant is all about. We had created some years ago, this board had created some years ago, the concept of a notice of intent. That's supposed to be filed like in November, so we know what to anticipate when we open the warrant.
I think this is pretty consistent with how we've done it the past few years, though,
Yeah,
Paul.
this is, right.
This has perverted the whole intent of what the notice of intent was. The notice of intent is supposed to be something that comes in advance of when we open the warrant, so we know what the plan for, then we open the warrant, we have a period of time in which people actually submit the warrant articles for which they've given us a notice of intent.
Jeannie seems like she wants to make a comment.
Jeannie, you want to make a comment about our perverted warrant?
I think part of the issue is that the notice of intent letter was sent out late because of the special town meeting. And so we are opening the warrant a little late, and we're still closing it by January 5th.
I think the other problem is we should have had this discussion before this memo went out. We never had a discussion of this board on these dates.
I don't think it went out.
It has gone.
It went out.
The what?
It's gone out.
It did go out. Because we had to let budget makers and people who wanted to submit articles. We're closing the warrant by January 5th, and we were only meeting on the 19th. They needed to have some notice that they needed to get this stuff in.
This, I read to say, you don't need to get anything in until the end of January. Basically, that's how I read this.
That's it.
Well, we certainly
I
can't.
read that you
we-
at least have to have the piece of paper. Right?
Yeah, well, we certainly can't close the warrant until January 30th. I agree with Paul about that. We're not going to have the language of these articles until then, is what it looks like, right?
No, I would close it January 5th.
You won't have anything.
Then we have nothing.
You won't have the language of the articles, Paul.
Can you close it a week later?
January 12th?
You give them to the 12th?
Yeah, I'd rather do it that way.
Yeah, that makes sense, Jeannie.
Right now, you're only really giving them 2 weeks.
Right. But particularly with the timing of the holidays, going to the 12th makes sense. So you'd resend this with the new
Yes.
Yep, it has to go back
NOI
out again.
January 12th date?
Yeah. Well, I noticed that there are blanks in here anyway.
There's no open and closed dates on them because we didn't have dates at the time we sent it out. They didn't want to get it out.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is something that really should have been talked about with the board before it went out.
Yeah, I almost had us change the order too, because George was here, but he had to, I knew he had to go.
The advisory hearing has been set for March 10th.
Good. It's good. Okay,
March 10th, the all-day meeting?
Yes,
Okay.
that's the Sunday meeting,
Saturday.
Saturday.
Saturday meeting.
It's actually known as Bloody Saturday.
Yes.
That must be a reference to the
Probably
pizza.
won't be bad, 'cause it won't be notice of intent.
Yeah, it'll be short with no notice of intent.
So I would suggest we send out a new letter that would fill in the blanks to say when the warrant's open, when the warrant is closed, up in the ray. I would suggest that we say the warrant is closed on January 12th, so that we can actually begin to process the business of the town, knowing what the articles are. So if there's going to be a complicated zoning article, rather than somebody coming in with, one-liner, give us the zoning article so we can see what it is.
So that would have to be by the 12th.
The problem is that oftentimes, we're kicking that to legal counsel to help.
Well, we could still kick it and change it. I don't think we're not printing the warrant, right?
Yes, we always have the right to add something, subtract something, or add.
Something, yeah. I think we should take this last sentence off of this too, because this constrains our right to open or edit or add things. I don't like that last sentence.
Good,
The last sentence on the first page?
yes.
Yeah. All right, so we're doing January 5th is the notice of intent deadline, or January 12th is? What are we saying?
Oh, I like that. January 5th for notices of intent, and January 12th. Just change the date on the second one to January 12th.
Well, no, because it says they're going to appear on a Board of Selectmen agenda. They're not going to appear by January 12th.
Yeah, you're just saying you want to close it on the 12th.
I think
Yes.
just close the warrant.
You
on the
still
12th.
want them to show up by January 30th. But
Okay, so just add a new date in there. So there'll be 3 dates, so January 5th, saying what it says now. Then January 12th for closing the warrant. And then January 30th, deadline
Meeting on the
for all article proponents to appear on the Board of Selectmen's agenda.
Do we have to meet to close it?
No. We're going to vote tonight to close it on the 12th. We don't have to actually meet to close it. We're not voting on a final warrant yet. It's just a date to close it. All right.
And can I suggest we delete the note?
Yeah,
What note?
The note under January 30th.
well, that note's kind of helpful, isn't it?
I don't think we want placeholders.
Well, I think what that just says is if we don't want to include the placeholder, we don't have to. Well, okay, the first sentence covers that. You're right, Paul.
So
All right,
we-
I'll go along with that.
Take the note part out?
Yeah, I'll go along with that. All right, do we have a motion to approve this letter as edited by Paul with some help?
Yeah,
moved.
so moved.
All right.
Second.
All right. Moved, do we have a second? Okay, all in favor of that? Great. Okay.
That's the letter, or that's the actual opening and closing?
No, we moved the letter. We moved the letter.
But I also
With the
move
date.
Oh, you want to move?
to close. Good
Close
idea.
as of January 12th.
Open it
Yes.
first.
What's opened up as of today?
Right?
So I'll second Sean's very timely motion that we open the warrant tonight, right now, and close it January 12th.
Okay, great.
Do we have a second?
Thank you for clarifying my
Paul
motion.
just seconded, I
Good,
think.
good save.
Perfect.
All in favor? Great, okay, thanks. I think this is what we want to say, but. Diane, I've got a markup here. That's what we were thinking. That's what.
Yeah, that's it.
That sounds
All right.
good.
So Diane, we've got a markup here for you.
I have mine right now.
Clarify,
Yeah,
January 30th is the deadline for all articles to appear on the Board of Selectmen agenda. That's
yeah,
the
we're gonna have to have a long meeting sometime in January to put everybody on the agenda.
All right, thank you.
Hopefully there won't be too many.
Yeah, we may actually want to consider a later date in January. Right now, we're talking about January 4th and January 18th. We may want
Oh, as far as a
to,
meeting, yeah,
Another
yeah,
meeting?
yeah.
yeah, we may want to move
Well,
that
we
second
may
meeting
need
back.
one the week after the 18th is what we
Right.
may
Yeah.
need. So let's schedule those meetings next.
Can we simply have 2 meetings and move the 18th to the 25th?
I think that's in the middle of the MMA convention.
The 25th?
What do we
Well, when are we gonna
Talking
have?
We
about-
try to keep one for regular business in the middle of the month, and
That's what I'm thinking too.
some notice of intents might show up, but everyone's gonna be cramming them at the end. Let's just do a notice of intent meeting.
All right, so we were talking about the 4th as a
And the-
selectmen's meeting and the 18th, and now we're talking about adding one the following week?
Oh, the 25th is fine. So how about
25th.
changing everything to the 11th and the 25th?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay.
You wanna do the 11th and the 25th now?
Yes, because at that point, with the warrant closing on the 12th, we pretty much know what the warrant, what's come in.
So we're not gonna meet between now and the 11th?
Oh,
That's 23 days. I mean, I guess we can do that, but it
I'm
seems
in,
like we might have some work.
I'm in San Francisco that whole week of the 11th.
Let's keep the 4th and the 18th, and then put something on for that last week if we need it.
okay, so then do the 25th.
The 25th. Yeah, I think that's right.
So 4, 18,
Except
25?
I can't be there the 18th.
All right, well, we won't do anything
'Cause-
fun while you're gone.
what day's the election?
That's the MMA convention. The election is January 9th, I believe, Tuesday the 9th. I'll be at the,
So we'll have 4.
got a lot of
4
setup
on the
stuff I gotta do on the 18th in Boston on the MMA convention.
18th. You can't come on the 18th?
I cannot be here the 18th.
All right, we might have to have a meeting, but that won't be the meeting where we're finalizing the warrant, so. Let's do 4, 18, and 25.
Paul, did the 17th or the 16th work for you?
Yeah, those don't work for me.
16th works.
Well, 16th would be okay, I guess. If people want to do the 16th?
That works for me.
Works for me.
Somebody else has a conflict on the 18th, so
You do?
I don't. Oh, he does.
I see, okay.
First meeting.
So 4, 16, and 25, okay? Diane?
Yep,
Let's have these start at 6:30 again.
yep, 6:30.
Okay, what's next?
And the
25th.
25th.
He's good with that too.
What's that?
He's good with that
Why'd
too.
you
So the 16th we'll have a full
have
member.
his calendar on your phone?
No, he just texted. He's sitting at home watching.
Oh, gotcha, okay. Okay.
So for
Great.
that 25th, is that the meeting that we're going to have the notice of intent?
That's the idea, and if we need to extend it after that, we will, but we want to get some people on that agenda for the 25th.
Just so that the staff knows that that's the date we're asking people to.
the big one.
To come for their warrant.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the big one. And we're gonna probably want to see some, hear from some budget people too. We can do that in February, right? Because they'll be closer to where they're headed at that point.
But if anybody wants to come in on the 16th,
Budget to do it.
that will
The
be.
budget's are due by the end of December
this month.
here, and I
I
wanted.
understand that, but we usually put people on our agenda.
Yeah, but I wanted to
meet
talk
with
to you.
them.
Do you want to do them, have them come in during a regular meeting, or do you want to put aside a Saturday morning again, and maybe
I
do,
want to do a second Saturday morning. Did we do that last year?
I don't think we did last year. We brought them in.
Yeah, I think it's helpful to just have them, and we don't need to hear every single one of them either, but there's certainly the ones in our
The big
department.
budget makers need
Well,
to.
the ones in our department. we
Right,
wanna
those
hear.
are the ones we brought in last time,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So I mean, I can start bringing them in the week before, on the 16th.
Yeah,
Maybe I
okay.
can bring some of them in
Okay, all right, that's
then.
good.
Okay.
Yeah, there shouldn't be, I mean, it shouldn't be a lot of brain damage on those if everybody's flatlining
Right.
for next year.
Who says?
Well, that's everybody except one department, I think, is doing it. But we should talk about that too.
Sure.
All right, so we got through that item now, item 4. We've set some meetings. Do we have any selectmen reports?
We do. Do we want to do, I have one. You want to do the minutes first, or?
Okay, let's do the minutes. Oh, I didn't see the minutes on here. Okay, yeah, let's do the minutes. Anybody have any comments on those minutes?
Yeah, I have a lot of edits,
Ooh,
which I didn't have a chance to give to Diane.
All right. Do you want to read them, or do we want to just take these up the next time? I mean, I think we can probably just do it. Why don't you read what the edits are, Paul?
Okay, on the 16th, under Farm Pond Advisory Committee, where it says, at the end of the line, it says, "The Board of Selectmen did not need to do anything further on this matter." I wanted to insert, because no request from the abutter had been submitted.
I can't even find these minutes.
No, you just
No,
follow-
I got it.
I got
just
it
had
marked
them
up
in
here. You can
I
s-
have a little pile, a big pile.
Oh, can you-
We're good. Because no request has been submitted?
Requested by the abutter.
Yeah, it sounded like we're taking no action on what the Farm Pond wanted us to do, and it's not that we were objecting to what Farm Pond committee was.
No, I see what you're saying. That's fine.
It's because we had
Because
no request
for action
before
was
us.
made.
Yeah,
It was a strange thing on the agenda since they presented it and requested us to do nothing, so that's a good clarification, Paul.
Yep, okay, that's good.
and then on the next one,
Which one is?
on
next
page 2,
Yeah,
the bottom of the page where it says, "Move to take no action on Article 4."
yeah.
That was not our motion, because that meant we did nothing on Article 4. It was moved to ask the voters to take no action on Article 4.
Okay.
I had 2 substantive changes on that pages as well. In the, about three-quarters of the way down, the sentence, "The BOS expressed their support for the article, but will hold their vote until they are able to review the development plan." I would insert preliminary development plan. That's what the article
Yep.
Yep,
calls for.
good catch.
And on Article 4, just before the correction Paul just made, I would add, there was a consensus among the board that this article did not provide enough protection to elected officials. And I would add, "and is unnecessary." It's a substantive change, but the discussion we had was we thought in a town this size, it wasn't
Yeah.
needed.
All right, I'm good with
Yeah,
that.
okay.
So at the top of the next page,
Yeah.
same thing where it says move to take no action on Article 5.
Yeah.
That isn't what we actually voted. We moved to ask the voters to take no
Got it.
action on Article 5.
Okay.
And then under Town Administrator, Business Reports and Updates, under the line Meeting Calendar, I would say the next BOS meeting was established as November 28th at 6:30 PM. Because it doesn't say what, it just says Meeting Calendar, November 28th. It doesn't say that we actually established a meeting.
Okay. All right.
That's it for my edits.
All right, so do we have a motion to approve these two sets of minutes? with
So
Paul's
moved
edits
as amended.
And Chuck's edits? Okay.
Second.
All in favor? Thanks, Diane, for
Yep.
keeping us up current on these. This is great.
Great
I
minutes.
know.
This is really
These
good.
are terrific minutes. They really are.
Okay, is there anything further here we need to
There's another
discuss?
set of minutes.
I thought you were voting on both those sets of minutes.
No,
Oh,
I have,
you have changes on the others? Okay.
there's one other, the 22nd.
I thought we just voted on both of them. All
No,
right,
the 20,
28th? 28th, Paul, is that what we're talking about?
We voted on the
16.
16th, and then we have the 28th.
All right, go ahead, what's next?
Under Article 2,
Wait a minute, I gotta get there. Okay.
there's a contradiction there where it says the Board of Selectmen expressed their support for the article but will hold their vote until able to review the development plan. Then there's a motion to support Article 2. That's not holding our vote. So I think you were just copying from the earlier minutes. I would delete the line, the Board of Selectmen expressed their support for the article but will hold their vote until able to review the development plan.
So delete that sentence, is that what you're saying?
Delete that sentence entirely.
Yeah.
And then to my recollection, I did not move this, so I think it was moved by Mike Giamo and seconded by Chuck Yon.
Let's go to the tape.
I have no recollection.
She usually does them from the tape that she watches on the TV. Oh, that's fine.
Huh?
She usually does them from the tape that she watches on the TV.
So she can't tell me and Paul apart?
Then hold it, don't vote on these yet.
Yeah, I think we just hold
She
these.
can tell me from the fancy hair I have.
That's what it is. I mean, I suspect you're right, Paul, but I just don't know.
And then on the top of the next page, where it says meeting calendar,
Wait, there was no tape on these. This is our.
There was no tape on this one?
What, was this the one where we didn't have anything?
oh yeah, this was at town, this
Oh, no,
was at,
This wasn't pre-town meeting. Was it? No.
No. No, town meeting was December 6th.
all right.
okay.
That's a tape.
Yeah, it's in.
Then at the top of the next page, where it says meeting calendar,
Yeah.
and has a series of dates.
Set meetings.
Yeah, I would say the board established the next meetings of the Board of Selectmen to be held on December 6th and December 19th.
It's a stickler, isn't it?
Or how about just scheduled next BOS meetings for,
That's fine. Just indicate what those dates are.
You can overdo them. All right.
so we're not going to move to approve these until we,
This one, should.
Well, let's just figure it out. Okay, great.
There has to be a signature on page 2, whoever prepared these minutes.
Okay. I'll put
All right,
it.
so
should say
we'll hold this till the
respectful.
next time, Diane, okay?
What are we holding it for?
Just, until our next meeting. We'll hold
Hold
the
the
28th until the next meeting. To figure out who made that motion and whatever else there was.
So it was just to figure out who made the motion?
right, that's it.
And Paul's giving you some changes on this too, so he's giving you some edits.
The Article 2 motion, Paul's saying he didn't make that motion,
Okay.
so,
I'll have to look on the tape myself.
right.
Okay, all right, good. We've set our next meetings.
You know, actually, my recollection is very specific, that Paul didn't make the motion, that Paul voted on it. So I don't recall who made the motion, but I didn't know Paul's vote until we raised our hands, so
Yeah, I kind of think the same thing,
that's my,
yeah.
I have a very clear recollection that
Yeah, I didn't know which way I was gonna vote until I.
somebody elbowed you in the ribs.
So what you're saying is you think it was Mike?
Still going to the tape.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
no, it
we
wasn't
should go to
Paul.
tape. It was either me or Chuck, probably. Anyway, all right. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I have a quick report if you.
Oh, you have a report. We didn't do reports yet.
Not quite 2 weeks ago, we had a special town meeting, and as this board recalls, we were very concerned about whether or not what kind of turnout we would get before the holidays. I want to compliment the citizenry of the town, because we had not just the quorum, we had 425 people that voted, and I've never been to a special town meeting that had that kind of turnout, and we were very concerned about it. I thought the presentations were terrific at town meeting. It was good, civil, and detailed discussion. These were Articles 1 and 2 were very complicated, and I want to sing the praises of Mary Wolf handling a difficult special town meeting. She did a great job on her first STM. And the planning board, the Housing Partnership Committee, for the work that they did, and the civility of the discussion.
Right.
I mean, it was really, Article 1 passed by 84% of the vote. Article 2 passed by 86%. And these were complicated, difficult issues. So I think the town collectively was able to achieve a consensus. And I was proud to be a member of a New England Democratic Forum. It was a really good discussion.
Do you have the total number of people that were in attendance?
The first article, there was 450 on the count that I had, 376 to 74, and 422. I don't have any other numbers other than those two.
There's been many town meetings, we didn't have 450
Right.
people for an annual town meeting,
Oh, yeah.
or all of them.
And the last special town meeting we had at Pine Hill, I would guess had 200,
Yeah, a couple
225.
hundred probably, yeah. Yep.
So,
Well, while we're on that subject, I wanted specifically to thank Sean, as CMD Director, for the steps you took to make it accessible to people. The lights that you put on the field, I don't recall it ever being done before. I think that was brilliant. The opening up of the CMD parking area, I believe you were instrumental in getting parking over at C&L Frosty's. All of that, the town meeting would not have worked as well as it did if those arrangements hadn't been made. So in my mind, you are the hero of that meeting. You made that thing happen.
Yeah, no,
Thank you.
That's
I
true.
don't
That
know
was,
about being a hero.
that was
but
helpful.
It was from past experience, because I was one of the handful of people that you'll remember, well, you were already up there, but I experienced the going up the road when it got closed, and there was a bunch of us that ended up having to trek through downtown to try to get to town meeting on time first.
you do have a slight problem now, though, that the Dover Sherborn Youth Basketball would like some of the outdoor basketball courts lit up.
Have them call the rec department.
Okay.
And just to carry out on
Thank you.
one of the points that Chuck made, that not only did Article 1 and 2 pass by 80% of the votes, but on the recall articles, they were defeated by 80% of the vote also. Article 4 was defeated by 80% of the voters who were present. And I noticed as I walked around the room, there were representatives there of so many boards and committees, at least some people I haven't seen at town meeting before who told me that they were there because they felt that their board or their committee should not be subject to this kind of recall process. Very heartening to see that kind of pretty much overwhelming sentiment of the town decisively. And we also had a very good vote on the fire department vehicle. So essentially, good active participation by all the voters, and a very good point made by one spokeswoman who got up and said, why are we trying to do complicated things at 11 o'clock at night? You would think with a 5-article town meeting, we would have been out of there in an hour or two. But instead, it took longer than some of our annual town meetings where we've got 30, 35 articles and we're spending millions of dollars. There was, as Chuck had pointed out, good discussion, thorough discussion, and it went late at night.
Okay. Further town selectmen reports? No? I was just going to add special thanks for Diane for a lot of extra hard work the last couple of months. She's been carrying a bigger load than usual and has been doing a great job with it, keeping us on track and coordinating a lot of things that she is picked up in addition to her regular duties until we're back at full force.
Thanks.
Hopefully soon.
Here, yeah. Thank you.
So thanks, Diane. Happy
Thank you.
holidays to everybody. Can we adjourn this meeting?
So moved.
8 p.m.
Second.
Second, all in favor? Aye, okay, very good. We're adjourned.
You're not taking-